Most people misunderstand passive income completely. They think passive income means easy money. They think it means escaping work. They think it means posting a few videos, launching a course, dropping affiliate links online, and suddenly waking up financially free. But that version of passive income is mostly fantasy. And the reason this matters is because unrealistic expectations destroy more businesses than lack of opportunity ever will. The internet has created an environment where people are constantly exposed to outcomes without context. They see revenue screenshots, luxury lifestyles, freedom, travel, views, success, but they rarely see the years required to create those outcomes. They rarely see the uncertainty, the emotional pressure, the repeated failure, the learning process, the consistency, the invisible work nobody applauds. Real passive income is usually built on active discipline. That is the part nobody wants to hear. The creators and entrepreneurs who eventually build scalable businesses often spend years becoming valuable before the leverage appears. They spend years improving communication, learning persuasion, understanding psychology, creating systems, building trust, developing authority, understanding markets, refining positioning, and during those years, very little feels passive. In fact, most of it feels difficult because building something real requires identity transformation. You cannot build long-term freedom with short-term thinking. That is one of the biggest problems online right now. People are being trained to think emotionally instead of strategically. They are constantly searching for the fastest route, the easiest route, the lowest effort route. But sustainable businesses are rarely built that way. The people who eventually experience leverage usually become extremely disciplined in areas most people ignore. They learn how to focus, how to communicate clearly, how to solve problems consistently, how to continue even when progress feels invisible. And that invisible phase matters more than people realize. Every serious entrepreneur goes through seasons where almost nothing externally validates their effort. Low views, low sales, low engagement, slow momentum. That stage eliminates most people. Not because they lack capability, but because they expected immediate reward. The truth is that business compounds slowly before it compounds aggressively. That is how momentum works. At first you feel like you are pushing endlessly with very little return. But over time, your skills improve, your audience grows, your communication sharpens, your systems strengthen, your reputation develops. Eventually, opportunities begin arriving faster. Trust begins reducing friction. People start listening more carefully, paying more attention, taking your guidance more seriously. That is when leverage begins appearing, and leverage changes everything. A single video can continue generating leads for years. A strong email list can produce revenue repeatedly. A trusted brand can create opportunities across multiple industries. A scalable system can operate while you focus elsewhere. That is the real goal, not avoiding work, but building systems valuable enough to extend beyond your direct effort. And there is another important truth people rarely discuss. Passive income without character often collapses, because scaling income also scales pressure. If someone lacks discipline, emotional stability, leadership, or clarity, more opportunity often creates more chaos. That is why personal growth matters in business. The person building the business matters just as much as the business itself. Long-term freedom is not built through hype, it is built through depth. Depth of thinking, depth of discipline, depth of trust, depth of consistency, depth of value. And this is why many people never reach passive income, not because freedom is impossible, but because they stop too early. They quit during the invisible years, they chase shortcuts, they avoid mastery, they move emotionally instead of strategically. Meanwhile, the people who win long term stay focused long enough for compounding to work. That is the difference. And if you understand that, your entire perspective on business changes. You stop chasing fantasies. You start building assets. You stop chasing fast validation. You start building leverage. You stop thinking in weeks. You start thinking in decades. And that mindset shift alone separates temporary ambition from long-term freedom.